I invite you to just relax, rest in the presence, and hold space as the music plays.
Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Ganganapataye Namo Namaha Jai Ganesha Gananatha Daya Niti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Kanganapataye Namo Namaha Kanganapataye Namo Namaha Kanganapataye Namo Namaha Kanganapataye Namo Ganapataye Namo Namaha Suklambaradharam Vishnu Sasivarnam Chaturjam Prasannavadanam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Namaha Ganapataye Namo Jai Ganesha Gananatha Daya Niti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Jai Ganesha Gananatha Daya Niti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari Kanganapataye Namo Namaha Kanganapataye Namo Namaha Kanganapataye Namo Namaha Kanganapataye Namo
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online Satsang. Satsang is a Sanskrit word that means roughly spiritual community. Literally, it means community of truth. Whenever seekers of truth, those who are on the path of awakening, the flowering of the heart, divine union, come together to share their journeys, to share their presence, to meditate, to pray together. We have a satsang. And spiritual community is an essential part of our journey. We can only do so much by ourselves. Truth is, we don't actually exist as separate individual beings. Part of the process of awakening is awakening into oneness with the one being, the one consciousness of all existence. And so part of our journey of transformation involves coming together with others who are awakening and being transformed. And the internet provides a wonderful opportunity for us. We come from different teachings, different teachers, different spiritual traditions. What we share in common is the path of awakening into oneness with the divine source and with all that exists. People join us with these for these Flowering Heart Satsangs from all over the world, other countries, other continents. And it's beautiful to be able to do this. We're so glad that you're here. We like to open it. I don't think we have any other announcements right now.
No, just if you missed the communion with the Cosmic Christ yesterday, it was really good and well worth your time. I know I say that every month, but a lot of food for thought and, contemplation and self-reflection in there.
It was freedom from cares, cravings, and compulsions. Cultivating Christ consciousness. Everyone seemed to be
Wowed.
nourished anyway. Yeah, I highly recommend that one, and it's right here. Facebook's only keeping our live videos up now for a month. They will be ongoing, always available as long as we have an account with them, on Vimeo, which is our streaming platform and where our total library is. But anything we do live on Facebook will stay up for a month. So if you miss it, you can catch up. We've been having all kinds of technical difficulties. I mean, it started when our faithful professional video camera died, and everyone stepped up to the plate. So many people.
Beautiful. Thank you.
We're using that new camera now, and still a learning curve. We had an echo going for a couple of weeks. Some of you guys helped us figure that one out. And a bunch of other stuff. Today, it was our email newsletter client. All of the links in the newsletter I sent out are being blocked, at least by Spectrum. It says, this is a dangerous site, you cannot go there. So I'm gonna have to get in touch with Ezine Director and we'll work it out. So I do apologize if you tried to access this or anything else in that newsletter, even Peace Pilgrim's site. Danger, danger. We'll get it worked out. But everything seems to be flowing quite well now.
Okay.
So we like to open it to questions and answers on the spiritual journey. And it could be anything. Could be something you're experiencing in your own journey in meditation or prayer, or questions you might have about the afterlife or previous lives, or really anything at all. And that really, it moves the divine to pour inspiration through Suzanne and me to share with the group, and it helps all of us, because even though all of us are on unique paths, there are certain parallels. We all tend to hit certain blocks and plateaus and valleys that are very similar. So whatever questions you might have, it'll help everybody. So while you check inside and listen to that still small voice in your heart, I like to share quotes from a website.
What did Stacy say?
It's not Stacy, and we'll come back to that.
Okay. Just making sure it wasn't anything.
It's Robert Williams. Hello,
Okay.
old friend. Hope all is good. It is. And
Okay.
we'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
Don't have your glasses on, I'll bet.
No, well, I have them on, just not on.
So we share quotes in these little articles from this website, inspiring quotes, which are really to ask whatever questions you might have on your heart. And we also, we ask if you're watching on Facebook Live that you give us a thumbs up or a heart, because we go in at the end. And we would have, if you gave us a like or a love, Robert, we would have seen that and given you a little extra hug and blessing. And I checked through the week because many, many, many times more people watch the video recording between one Monday and the next because it just doesn't work into their schedule to be with us always on Monday nights. If you're watching on Vimeo, please enter into the chat. Hi, it's me. And I check there as well. We're also on LinkedIn Live. We're on YouTube Live. We're out there as long as our links don't get blocked. Technology.
We're still out there. It's just
So tonight, we're going to look at 16 quotes about the power of generosity. I really liked this one. And the author is April Davila. We've read a number of her little articles. She is a lover of words. Her debut novel, entitled 142 Ostriches, was released in 2020. And thank you again, April, for this contribution. Here's what she has to say about generosity. Generosity as a practice stumped scientists for years. The fact that people will share their money, food, energy, and time, even when resources are scarce, seems to go against our basic human instinct for survival. Recently, however, research has begun to explain what many people understand in their hearts. Generosity is good for both the giver and the receiver. Recent studies have shown that generous people tend to have more friends, experience greater satisfaction with their lives and careers, often have a more positive outlook on life, and can even enjoy better physical and mental health. And that's just for the person doing the giving, before considering the benefits to the recipients of their generosity. Donations made by everyday people have supported organizations advocating for civil rights, arts and culture, the environment, education, animal welfare, and healthcare, to name just a few. And overall, charitable giving has gone up in recent years. According to Forbes, donations to charities jumped 5.1% in 2020, even as the COVID-19 pandemic decreased the United States gross domestic product by 2.3%. As these heartwarming statistics show, I've never heard of heartwarming statistics. We always called them sadistics. As these sorry, April. As these heartening statistics show, generosity is one of those human habits that reveals our innately good nature. Below are 16 quotes about the spirit of sharing and all the good it can do in the world. So here we go. Generosity is the most natural outward expression of an inner attitude of compassion and loving kindness. Dalai Lama. It is a powerful practice to be generous when you are the one feeling in need. Alan
true.
Locos, meditation teacher. Happiness is not made by what we own. It is what we share. Jonathan Sachs, rabbi and philosopher. Money is but one venue for generosity. Kindness is an even more valuable currency. Alan Cohen, inspirational author. Generosity is giving more than you can. And pride is taking less than you need. Khalil Gibran, poet and artist. Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. Simone Weil. Sometimes when we're generous in small, barely detectable ways, it can change someone else's life forever. Margaret Cho. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. Source unknown. I have found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Maya Angelou. Money is not the only commodity that is fun to give. We can give time. We can give our expertise. We can give our love or simply give a smile. Stephen Goodyear, motivational writer. Think of giving not as a duty, but as a privilege. John D. Rockefeller, Jr. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Pablo Picasso. In the end, maybe it's wiser to surrender before the miraculous scope of human generosity and to just keep saying thank you forever and sincerely for as long as we have voices. Elizabeth Gilbert, author. It is every man's obligation to put back into the world at least the equivalent of what he takes out of it. Albert Einstein. Real generosity is doing something nice for someone who will never find out. Frank A. Clark, politician. It's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. Mother Teresa. Aren't those beautiful?
Really beautiful. It's simple.
Yes, indeed. So, back to Robert. Hello, old friend. All is good. All is very well here. And Robert asks a question, what do you think about Gong Fu? Actually, I think it's wonderful. I think it's misunderstood a lot. Actually, Gong Fu, 2 words. Fu means man or human. Gong means cultivation or development. So Gong Fu, even though my Sifu said Gong Fu means hard work. Well, that's, yeah, true enough, but not literally. Literally, Gong Fu means human development. And it involves not just martial arts. Actually, the word for martial arts wouldn't be Gong Fu, it's Wushu in Chinese. Wushu is martial arts. Gong Fu is a total way of life, of which the martial arts may be one piece, but there's philosophy, there's herbal medicine, there's Qigong, meditation, and to me, the heart of it is meditation. And out of meditation, we have the energy cultivation of Qigong and Neigong. We have herbal medicine, we have philosophy, we have poetry, we have Taoist art. And all of that was sort of co-opted into Chan Buddhism when Buddhism was transmitted to China. Taoism had been there for thousands of years. Depends on who you're listening to, but the best sources, I mean, you can trace it back to at least the time of the Yellow Emperor. Taoism's at least 8,000 years old. And so a lot of those teachings of Qigong and meditation were incorporated into Chan Buddhism, which is the roots of Zen. Zen is Japanese for Chan. So I think a lot about Kung Fu. Kung Fu's great, yes. I've been involved in practicing and teaching, particularly Qigong and Taoist meditation for over 50 years. I also began to study Kung Fu, and it was tough for me because I was a total pacifist. The Vietnam War was raging, and people were trying to beat me up all the time. And I didn't understand how can you be an enlightened master, Master Lu, and practice an art that can take another person's life. And he would just say, "It good know how fight, Michael." Well, it took me a while to get it, but I started with, for me, I'm so glad it started with meditation and Qigong. And the Qi was moving, and my spirit, my Shen, had through meditation and practice come into harmony with the Tao. And I was in a bad situation, I won't tell the whole story tonight, and some big goon attacked me. And honestly, I was scared to death because I hadn't been practicing the martial aspect of Kung Fu yet. I was resisting it as a young hippie pacifist. And as this guy, he's huge, he's like 6'6", I think, just huge, started throwing punches and kicks at me, the Qi started moving my body spontaneously out of the way of his punches. So then when he got more direct, my arms just started to wrap around his arms and move them out of the way. He could, I blocked. The same thing with the kicks. And he stopped and went, "What is that?" I said, "I have no clue." And he said, "Well, congratulations." And he shook my hand and walked away and left me alone. Well, I came back. That was over a holiday, Christmas holiday. I came back to Master Lu and I said, "Oh, I am a fool. Please teach me Kung Fu." So that's what I think about Kung Fu. I think in its purest form, it's a way to harmonize potentially destructive and violent energy and to neutralize it and turn it into something peaceful and harmonious, like the dance I had with that 6'6" goon. You know, that was nasty, but it turned into something beautiful, and we shook hands, and I was more amazed than he was, for sure. Okay, Ekaterina writes, how to work with feeling guilty or feeling that maybe you were punished the same way you committed the damage years ago. The question is about my relationship with my mom. If you can send a blessing, thank you. Well, you know we can and you know we will. Well, the feeling, guilt is interesting. Guilt is a very useful emotion for about 30 seconds or less. Guilt lets you know that you have crossed the boundaries of your own ethics, of what you know in your heart is right or not for you. And when we step over that line, if our hearts are sensitive and open, we get this feeling of guilt. My old mentor and one of my teachers, Father Thomas Keating, he said, so that's very valuable. An alarm goes off. You just crossed the line. He said, if it lasts more than 30 seconds, that's neurosis. That's neurotic. What we need to do is accept that we went too far in a certain way, and we need to correct our path and make amends, which sometimes can only be through prayer and surrender. Sometimes we can't fix it, and we offer it to the divine and ask the divine to bring as much healing and correction as possible. But we need to make restitution and to attempt to heal that breach as much as is possible. And that needs to start usually on the inside. If you make your peace with that person that you're wrestling with, that you are struggling with in your heart, you can Call them before your mind's eye or the eye of your heart. And you can have the conversation with their spirit being. And you can ask their forgiveness, and you can forgive them, and you can embrace them. When you do that in your heart, in the inner work, don't be surprised if you get a phone call from that person that hasn't spoken to you in 20 years. The outer world is a mirror that reflects the inner world. So when we heal and set things right within ourselves, the outer world will reflect that change. You mentioned something else. Maybe you're being punished the same way you committed the damage years ago. Well, punishment is the wrong concept here. That isn't the way it works, but there is a spiritual law. It exists in India. It's called the law of karma. And one of the simplest explanations is whatever you sow, you will reap many times over. So if you put out hurt in the world, hurt will come back to you multiplied. That's the law of karma. It works the other way around. If you put out love, if you put out healing, if you put out good energy and good actions, that will be multiplied back to you many times over. The Bible just says, and it's right there in the beginning in Genesis, that whatever you sow, you will reap. So there's no way around that. I learned, because I kept trying to find ways out of that. I hated the class I hated the most is the place where Suzanne and I studied and went on retreats for many years in India. There was this class, karma. I hated that class. And I kept looking for loopholes, and I would say, and the teacher, who was a monk in a very high state of consciousness and oneness, he said there's no way out of karma. Karma is the harshest guru, and she will not let you escape. Whatever you sow, you will reap. And I went, then we're doomed. What about grace? He said, be quiet, Michael. I said, well, there's a Hindu deity, Gayatri, and Gayatri is known for consuming and dissolving karma. He said, be still, Michael. I wouldn't stop. I said, well, what about Jesus? Jesus is famous for taking people's karma of their sins, the negative consequences of their actions, and freeing them from that. And then he said, shut up, Michael. Well, I went back to my room, and that night, completely unwelcomed by me, I had a life review where my whole life passed before my eyes. And I saw every person I had hurt from the time I was a child. And it broke my heart. Sometimes I didn't even know I was doing it. Someone tried to smile and say hi, and I was so wrapped up in whatever I was wrapped up in, I just ignored them. I didn't even see it. But I hurt them. I had hurt so many people. And it broke my heart. I realized I could never live long enough to find all those people and say, I'm sorry, and make it right. And probably a lot of them never wanted to talk to me again. And some of them had already passed on from this life. Oh, woe is me, you know? And I came to class the next day, karma class, and I'm just weeping. And the monk in compassion walked up and said, what's wrong, Michael? And I told him, I saw all the people I've hurt in my life from the time I was a kid up to the present, and there's no way to fix it. And he got this smile from ear to ear. And he said, that's all she wanted. Karma will not let you out of what you've done, but will insist that you experience the pain that you have inflicted on the other. Once you merge with them and you experience the harm you've done to them, it releases them and it releases you from karma. He said, you're free, Michael. I was like, whoa, is that the way it works? You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it was beautiful, pretty complete. I think there's one little point that sometimes doesn't get brought up is that, you know, you will, whatever you put out there, you will get back many times over. And I don't think that generally across the board is true, because you may offend somebody and have no clue that you're doing. I think that there's an element of intention behind it, and consciousness behind it. So there are exceptions to that where we might get it back as a reflection of what we've done, but I don't think it's necessarily many times over. But I mean, if something's premeditated and you put a lot of energy, if it's premeditated, you put a lot of energy and effort into doing something that would harm somebody else, then it's going to come back more intensely, unless you do the inner work and you ask for forgiveness, whether it's directly to that person or seek forgiveness and give forgiveness for that.
Pray for them.
And pray for them. And pray for yourself for grace to receive forgiveness.
Some of what broke my heart the most were hurts that I had not intended.
Right.
Not at all. Most of you know I've been a minister for over 50 years. And sometimes I used to speak, to large groups of people in congregations that I was overseeing, and I'd get up to the lectern and I would deliver a teaching, but I wasn't sensitive to what every person in the room, if there were hundreds, how they might be impacted by what I was saying. And coming into church, I was so focused on getting to the pulpit that I ignored people that were just trying to say hello to me. I didn't mean to hurt them, but I ignored them. And that hurt remained in them, and it came back to me. Why are these people mad at me? Why are some people offended with me? It took years for me to realize that I didn't realize, and to become more sensitive. So it's true where there's intention.
Right. Then it's going to come back more directly, but yeah. I think that there is grace in the universe, and I think that there is
thank goodness.
A balance, yeah. So seeking forgiveness and forgiving any hurt or harm, and oftentimes when we're hurt by somebody or we hurt somebody else, it's because of a hurt within us.
Oh, yeah.
So it's important to keep working on resolving that hurt, asking for grace.
And after that, I could talk to the monk about Gayatri and Jesus. He said, now you're ready to ask Gayatri to release all the negative.
Because you've seen it.
Because you've seen it, because you have taken to heart the suffering that you inflicted on others. But for Gayatri or for Christ to release you from the guilt of that, before you acknowledge that you had done wrong and had hurt people, that wouldn't be right either. And I was like, wow, I do agree with him. But it was a hard row, that class. So John Lewis writes, if the person you hurt was in a higher state of consciousness, then they can't be hurt. They're coming from a place of complete understanding and love. Your thoughts? Well, if they are in oneness, yes. If they're if there's no ego. But you can be in a higher state of consciousness and still have ego, and still have personal feelings and be hurt by what people do to you. I thought it was shocking when, so many years ago, we saw someone in the state of consciousness of Bhagwan, considered to be a God-realized being. Someone did something that really hurt him. And he shed tears. It hurt. And he shared his hurt. And I was going, I thought he couldn't be hurt. Well, maybe then that was evidence that he still had some ego. I really don't know. But I do know that there's being in a higher state of consciousness and there's being in the highest state. Maybe Christ wasn't hurt when they nailed him to the cross and wished him to go to hell. But he, you could see it. I mean, in the story, he was like, he was just deeply touched by, but Peace Pilgrim, I think,
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the book club with Peace Pilgrim, and we're on chapter 3 now, who she's talking about her experiences of being out in the world and on her pilgrimage and people that tried to hurt her. And she just came from that place of higher consciousness of, we're all one. And she felt such sadness and compassion for those that were hurting others because she knew how badly they were hurt in order to behave that way. The only comment that I would want to say on the flip side of that is, if we are consciously hurting somebody, or we know that we're hurting somebody, even if they're in a higher state of consciousness, we still need to deal with the repercussions of that. We need to look at why we're doing that and make an effort to continue to grow, to get into that space where we can just have unconditional love and compassion for everybody that we encounter that's behaving in whatever way they're behaving in. But we can get to that space of purity, but I think at some level it is hurtful. I mean, it might take you aback for a moment, and then you'd
Peace
go.
Pilgrim said it made her sad.
Yes, right.
See, that hurt.
And that still hurt.
She hurt for that person
Right.
that needed to want to kill her.
Right.
She didn't hate them. She didn't fight back. She
Right.
didn't struggle. She felt compassion and sadness.
Sadness,
See,
which is still hurt.
It is a kind of hurt. Yeah. Yeah, but I bet you hit a nail
Yeah,
right
definitely.
on, John. Okay. Ekaterina writes, I had the intention to harm. I didn't remember how much until yesterday. And also my mom didn't remember how much she hurt me. So now I hope we can forgive each other. You can.
You can.
And do that inner work. You did it here with us in the Diamond Heart process, and you can do it. And when you really do it on the inside and you dialogue with her imagined presence right before you and listen to what she says and come to a place of mutual forgiveness, and then do the compassionate exchange where you breathe into yourself all of her density, darkness, and suffering, and breathe out to her the essence of liberation and healing and peace and unbounded life and space. It works, it does, so do it. But
Yeah,
it may be a process.
Yes, and I was thinking about this when you first wrote that other question, that when I was a teenager and, early puberty, early teens, my hormonal swings, my mouth would just go off on my mother, and my brain was thinking, why are you saying these hurtful things? I don't feel that way, but just like a switch went off and my mouth would just start spewing all of this terrible stuff. And as I got older, I felt really bad about that. And I had a conversation with my mom and got the opportunity to apologize for that, but she had already had 3 teenagers before I came along, or early teens, and she kind of had the train, so she didn't get caught up in any drama when I would go off on her. She, it was just kind of like waves on an ocean, you just flow with them. Yet it wasn't her first rodeo, so I was kind of fortunate about that. But I realized after having a deeper conversation with her, after having children, she's passed about 13 years ago, but after having a deeper conversation with her and having my own children, she said, there was a part of me that always felt bad, because I was out of the house at like 13, 14, because I went away to school where my dad was doing work, and she said she felt bad. She felt like she wasn't there for me and that she wasn't helping me grow. But I was very independent. So we had a nice opportunity to talk, but I did have to work through that guilt that I had hurt her so much, but I didn't really hurt her because she didn't quite feel it, but I'm sure on some level it did hurt. But that's been a deep part of my spiritual journey too, and constantly expressing inwardly into her soul, gratitude for all the opportunities she gave me and what an amazing mother that she was and the patience that she had. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
John writes, when I had my spiritual experience, everything I had done or was done to me was taken away. I understood. But those old feelings can come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. We're not always in a peak state of divine union until we arrive at the transforming union. There is a place where you remain in such deep union with God that nothing sticks. And you're really in a state of total oneness with the divine. But before that, we can have these amazing experiences where we see it, we get the big picture, and everything is released, everything is healed. But if we come back into a lower state of consciousness where there's still a self, a false self at work, then there will be hurts and there will be issues and challenges. And so it's like a roller coaster ride for a while.
Or a wave on an ocean.
Or a spiral, but eventually we do arrive at that permanent oneness with all that is. And you're very fortunate, John, to have had tastes of that place.
Mm-hmm.
That really fuels the journey. Once you taste it, that's the only thing in life you crave is more of God, more of the light, more unity. Well, it's time.
I think too that it's important to remember that, you know, anything that's pulling us out of that state is stuff that we have further to work on, and deeper things that are getting peeled open so that we can address them, and we can work on whatever is coming up for us.
And that's where humility comes in.
Yes.
All right. Well, if you would, if you haven't already, close your eyes and invite, welcome the presence to flood your heart. The great mystic Rumi said, "You're not just a drop of the infinite ocean of the divine. You are the entire ocean in a drop. It's all inside of you." Within you dwells the fullness of the Godhead itself. And this divine presence is pure, unconditional love. It doesn't want to punish or mete out some kind of retribution for mistakes made. No, that's all bad religious teaching. This divine presence is pure, unconditional love and never separates itself from you. There is no gulf separating you from God, except maybe in your mind. And it's time to heal that and let it be dissolved. The divine presence wants to draw you into itself, into deepest union. And that attraction, that force that is drawing you into the center, is the power of pure divine love. Just let go and let the divine presence draw you into itself. The divine already knows everything you need, everything you've ever done, and every mistake you may ever commit in the future. The divine already knows and loves you unconditionally. It's all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-wise. This presence knows how to transmit to you freedom. So just receive the blessing of the flowering of your heart into oneness. You don't need to beg. Right now, just relax and receive. drinking it in. Soak it up. The presence is pouring out to you and in you everything you need to fill your heart with light, to heal your soul and clear it of all negative thinking, all hurtful emotions, all painful memories. Let the divine heal your soul and fill you with divinely inspired thoughts and feelings and plans. The divine yearns to shine into your physical body healing grace. Receive healing in your body. And in your relationships, the divine is shining out from the center of your heart, filling you with light, flooding your soul with inspiration, flooding your body with healing, shining into your relationships to heal them and to set them right. Receive and allow. Just keep soaking it up. Drink it in and receive the essence, awakening, liberation, and healing. Visualize, imagine us sitting in a circle together, a blessing circle, and lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward. Let us together invite the divine presence to pour through all of us the flowering heart blessing. It flows through you to all the others in the circle, and it flows through them back to you. Carrying a burden or a problem still with you tonight, put it in the middle of the circle. Ekaterina, put your mother there and your relationship with her as we send blessing and grace. We invite everyone else who didn't share what you may be carrying as a burden. Release it. Let go of it. Give it to the divine. Put it in the center of the circle as we take a strong intention for divine intervention, healing and release for you and for all these situations. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now you could just relax and rest your hands in your lap. And when you're ready, open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me, or both. Just keep directly gazing at least one of our eyes. As the light meditation begins, Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans of love and grace and light for you. It flows through every fiber of our being, especially through our eyes, the windows of the soul. As you keep looking, that light streams out through our eyes, in through your eyes, into your heart of hearts, to cause the light of awakening and the fires of divine love to burn, to shine brighter and brighter within you. Just receive. could close your eyes now. Meditate with us for a few more minutes as the grace settles within. Now keep meditating as long as it feels good to you. You could also lie in Shavasana. Find a place to lie down comfortably on your back nearby and just close your eyes. Let your arms rest loosely at your sides with your palms open, turned upward, and just dissolve with gratitude in the presence. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we meet again, know that the divine in us beholds the divine within you, and we bow to you.
Namaste.
Namaste.